She thought her life was finally perfect, until one secret destroyed everything. And when the truth came out, it became the worst plot twist of all time. Emily had always believed her life was finally on track. After years of heartbreak, she found the love of her life, Daniel, a kind and ambitious man who promised her forever. Together, they bought a cozy little house on the outskirts of town, filled it with laughter, and began planning their future. For Emily, it felt like she was living inside a fairy tale, until the cracks slowly started to appear. One evening, while scrolling through her phone, Emily received a strange message from an unknown number. It read, "You don't really know Daniel. Be careful." Her hands trembled. At first, she dismissed it as a prank, but something about the tone felt too personal, too real. When she asked Daniel about it, he laughed and brushed it off. People get jealous when they see others happy. Ignore it. But Emily couldn't shake the unease creeping into her heart. Soon, Daniel began disappearing on weekends, claiming work emergencies. Emily trusted him. She wanted to believe in their love. But the late-night calls, the evasive answers, and the look in his eyes when she questioned him told a different story. Her gut whispered that the truth was darker than she could ever imagine. She didn't realize she was standing on the edge of the worst plot twist of her life. Emily tried to convince herself that Daniel was telling the truth, but the seed of doubt had already been planted. She noticed little things, like how his shirt sometimes smelled faintly of perfume that wasn't hers, or how his phone was suddenly always locked. One evening, while Daniel showered, Emily picked up his phone only to find every recent message mysteriously deleted. Her chest tightened. Why would he erase everything if he had nothing to hide? She told herself she was overthinking, but in her heart, fear whispered louder than reason. One Saturday, Daniel claimed he had a last-minute business trip. Emily decided to visit her sister downtown to distract herself. While waiting at a cafe, her heart nearly stopped. Across the street, she saw Daniel. But he wasn't alone. He was laughing, holding hands with a woman Emily had never seen before. Her entire world froze. She wanted to run outside, scream, command answers, but instead, she sat paralyzed, staring at the man she thought she knew. It was the first crack in her fairy tale life. When Daniel returned home that night, Emily confronted him. "I saw you today. Who was she?" His face went pale, then quickly hardened. "You're paranoid, Emily. I told you I was working," but his trembling hands betrayed him. Emily's voice broke. "Don't lie to me. I saw you holding her hand." For a moment, Daniel seemed cornered, but then his expression turned cold. "If you don't trust me, maybe this isn't working." His words sliced through her like a knife. That same night, Emily received another message from the unknown number. "Now you see the truth, but it's worse than you think." Her blood ran cold. Who was this person? How did they know so much about Daniel? Terrified yet desperate, Emily responded, "Who are you?" The reply came instantly. "Someone who once trusted him, just like you. Meet me tomorrow, I'll tell you everything." Emily's hands shook. She didn't know if this was a trap, or her only chance to uncover the truth. The next day, Emily nervously arrived at a small diner. A woman in her mid-30s sat in the corner, waiting. Her name was Rachel. Without hesitation, Rachel said, "Daniel isn't who you think he is. He's a liar and a destroyer." Emily's throat tightened. Rachel explained that she had once been engaged to Daniel, until she discovered he was secretly living a double life. He had charmed her, promised her the world, but in the end, left her broken. Emily's stomach turned as Rachel slid over a folder filled with photographs. Every photo showed Daniel with different women, each one believing they were his only love. Emily flipped through the photographs, her hands trembling uncontrollably. There were birthdays, vacations, romantic dinners. Daniel had been weaving a web of lies across multiple lives. "He's a predator," Rachel whispered. "He thrives on manipulation. You think you're special, but to him, You're just another victim. Emily's chest burned. The man she loved, the man she built a future with, wasn't just unfaithful. He was a professional deceiver. She wanted to scream, to run, but all she could do was sit frozen, staring at the proof of her shattered world. That night, Emily confronted Daniel again, this time with the photographs. His eyes widened, then narrowed, with a chilling calmness. "So you met Rachel?" His voice was disturbingly steady, almost amused. "She's still obsessed with me. Don't believe her lies." Emily shouted, "These are pictures, Daniel. This is real." For the first time, his mask slipped. He leaned close and whispered, almost threateningly, "You think you know the worst of me? Emily, you've seen nothing yet." Emily barely slept that night. Daniel's words echoed in her head like a curse. "You've seen nothing yet." The next morning, she noticed his demeanor had shifted. He was overly sweet, making her breakfast, kissing her forehead, acting as though nothing had happened. But the warmth felt forced, a performance. Emily tried to play along, but inside she trembled. She realized Daniel wasn't just lying. He was dangerous. Every smile felt like a mask. Every touch, a trap. She wasn't safe anymore, not even in her own home. While Daniel was at work, Emily began searching through the house. Her hands shook as she pulled open drawers, rifled through closets. In the study, behind old receipts, she found a locked briefcase. Her pulse raced. Breaking it open, she uncovered passports with Daniel's picture under different names, stacks of cash, and photos of women she didn't recognize. Each woman looked happy, unaware of the storm coming. Emily realized Daniel wasn't just unfaithful. He was living multiple lives, playing roles like a chameleon, and she was only one chapter in his twisted play. Determined to catch him, Emily installed a hidden recorder in their bedroom. That night, Daniel took a phone call in hushed tones, unaware of the device. His words sent chills down her spine. "She's getting suspicious. If she digs deeper, we'll have to deal with her." The casual way he said it, "deal with her," made Emily's blood run cold. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a threat to her life. Her loving husband had become her potential executioner. Panicked, Emily called Rachel. They met again, and Rachel's face turned pale when Emily explained. "You don't understand," Rachel whispered, clutching Emily's hand. "Daniel isn't just a liar, he's dangerous. After I confronted him years ago, I had an accident. My brakes failed. The police called it mechanical failure, but I knew." Emily felt sick. She wasn't just uncovering infidelity, she was stepping into a predator's lair. Rachel urged her, "Leave him before it's too late. Don't wait for the truth to destroy you." Later that night, there was a knock on Emily's door. When she opened it, a man in a suit stood outside. "Are you Emily?" he asked quietly. She nodded. "Agent Harris asked Emily to help gather evidence. We need him caught in the act," he said. Emily agreed, though fear knotted her stomach. Together, they planted a hidden camera in the living room. That night, Daniel came home late, humming cheerfully. But his cheer vanished when he noticed the briefcase slightly moved. He turned, staring at Emily with sharp suspicion. "Were you in my things?" he asked softly. Too softly. Emily's throat dried. She forced a smile, shook her head. But Daniel's gaze lingered long, as if he could see straight through her lie. Over the next few days, Daniel turned manipulative. He showered her with affection, bought her flowers, whispered promises of a bright future. But every gesture felt poisoned. Emily realized he was testing her loyalty, watching for cracks. He would suddenly ask, "Do you trust me?" with piercing eyes. She had to play along, nodding, smiling, pretending she believed. But inside, every moment was a battlefield between fear and survival. The home that once felt like love now felt like a prison where every step echoed with danger. Emily tried contacting Agent Harris again, but he didn't answer her calls. Days passed. Finally, Rachel called with breaking news. "The agent who came to you, Harris, I saw his photo in the papers. He died in a car crash last week." Emily's breath caught. But I met him after that." Silence. Rachel whispered, "Emily, you weren't speaking to an FBI agent. You were speaking to Daniel's accomplice." Emily dropped the phone, her entire world spinning. She had been set up from the start. Emily realized Daniel was always 10 steps ahead. The agent Harris who visited her was no savior. He was a plant, sent by Daniel to see if she suspected too much. The fake investigation, the staged warnings, the false comfort. All of it had been orchestrated. Emily's chest tightened with terror. She thought she was uncovering the truth, but in reality, Daniel had been leading her deeper into his web. The real plot twist wasn't that Daniel was a liar. It was that Emily had been playing a script Daniel had written all along. Desperate, Emily planned her escape. She quietly packed essentials, hid cash in her coat, and waited for the right moment. But Daniel was always there, hovering. When she pretended to sleep, she felt his eyes on her in the dark. When she showered, she swore she heard the door creak open. Her every move was monitored. Still, one night, she slipped out, heart racing. She ran to Rachel's apartment, clutching her bag like a lifeline. For the first time in weeks, she felt a flicker of hope. But hope, she would soon learn, was the cruelest trick of all. Rachel opened the door, shocked to see Emily. "You can't be here," she hissed. "He'll find you." Emily begged for help, but Rachel's eyes shifted uneasily. Emily noticed a second wine glass on the table, still worn. "Who's here?" she demanded. From the shadows, Daniel stepped out, smiling coldly. "Told you she'd run to you," he said. Emily froze. Rachel's face crumbled in shame. "I'm sorry," Rachel whispered. He promised me he'd come back." Betrayal cut deeper than any blade. The one ally Emily trusted had delivered her straight into the monster's hands. Daniel sat Emily down, his charm twisted into menace. "You think you were clever? Searching, doubting, plotting to leave me?" His smile never reached his eyes. "But every move you made, I already knew. Rachel, she's mine. Harris, mine. The messages, mine. Emily, you were never uncovering me. You were dancing to my tune." Emily's hands trembled as realization struck. From the very first anonymous message, every single step had been orchestrated. Daniel hadn't lost control. He had been in complete control all along. Emily's spirit shattered. "Why?" she whispered, tears streaming down. Daniel leaned closer, whispering like a lover. "Because nothing thrills me more than watching someone crumble. You loved me, trusted me, and I took that from you. That's real power." Emily's chest burned with rage. He hadn't just lied. He had fed on her pain, turned her into entertainment. In that moment, Emily realized the truth. She was never his partner, never his love. She was his game piece, his pawn. And he had already won. Days blurred together. Emily was trapped in Rachel's apartment under Daniel's watchful eyes. He controlled her food, her phone, her freedom. When she resisted, his voice turned venomous. "Don't make me hurt you, Emily. You're smarter than that." Rachel avoided Emily's gaze, broken by guilt and desperation. The woman who once warned her was now another prisoner, bound by Daniel's manipulation. Emily lay awake at night, listening to Daniel's steady breathing nearby, wondering if she'd ever escape, or if this nightmare was now her permanent reality. Emily knew she couldn't wait for rescue. She had to act. One night, as Daniel drank heavily, she quietly palmed the spare key from Rachel's counter. Her pulse thundered as she crept to the door. Just as she turned the lock, a hand gripped her wrist. Daniel. His face was calm, too calm. "Leaving so soon?" he murmured. He dragged her back inside, eyes blazing. "Do you know what happens to people who betray me?" His voice was silk over steel. "They vanish, and no one even remembers their names." Daniel revealed a shocking truth. The photos Emily saw, the women she thought were victims, weren't strangers. They were gone, disappeared. "You think they just left me?" Daniel chuckled darkly. No, Emily, they're gone forever. Horror gripped her. He wasn't just a liar. He was a predator who destroyed lives completely. And now Emily realized she was next in line. This wasn't a love story gone wrong. This was survival against a man who erased people like they were characters in his sick game. Despite her terror, Emily refused to surrender. She began leaving small clues, a scratched message under the table, a hidden note in Rachel's purse, even the smudge of lipstick on the window frame. Tiny signals that someone, someday, might notice. Daniel prided himself on control, but Emily clung to the smallest rebellion. If she couldn't escape, she would at least leave behind a trail of truth. But every act of defiance risked discovery, and discovery meant death. One night, Daniel erupted in rage. A credit card charge had exposed one of his fake identities. "Who did this?" he shouted, slamming his fists. His fury turned toward Emily, accusing eyes burning into her. Rachel sobbed, insisting it wasn't her. But Daniel didn't care. He dragged Emily to the window, pointing at the dark city below. "One push," he whispered, "and your story ends tonight." Emily stared into the abyss, her life hanging by his grip. Her body shook, but her eyes, for the first time, burned with defiance. Just as Daniel leaned closer, a loud bang shattered the tension. The door burst open. Real FBI agents stormed in. "Daniel Carter, step away," they shouted. Daniel's face twisted, a mix of rage and shock. Emily collapsed as agents pulled her away. But Daniel didn't resist. He simply smiled, hands raised, as though he had been expecting this, as though even this, the moment of his downfall, was part of his plan. Emily trembled, unsure if she was finally free, or stepping into yet another layer of his twisted game. The agents assured Emily she was safe, but she couldn't shake Daniel's smile. In the courtroom, he represented himself with eerie calm. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "the woman accusing me is unstable. Check her medical records. She was hospitalized for paranoia years ago." Emily's breath caught. He had planted false records, forged documents, painted her as the villain. The jury hesitated. The trap hadn't ended. It had simply moved to a new stage. Daniel wasn't fighting for freedom. He was fighting to rewrite reality itself. Emily tried desperately to prove her innocence, to show the evidence she had gathered. But crucial files were missing. Recordings deleted, photographs altered. Every piece of proof had been erased or twisted. Rachel, under Daniel's influence, testified against her. "She's obsessed with him," Rachel claimed. "She stalks him, fabricates stories." The courtroom turned against Emily. She felt herself sinking, drowning in lies. And Daniel, sitting calmly, smirked at her. The master puppeteer watching his final act unfold. A verdict came. Guilty. But not for Daniel. For Emily. She was convicted of stalking, fraud, and harassment. Daniel walked free, his reputation intact. As guards dragged Emily away, she locked eyes with him. He mouthed 2 words. "I win." In that moment, she understood the true horror. The worst plot twist wasn't betrayal. It wasn't even survival. The worst plot twist was that the villain walked free, and the victim became the monster in everyone else's eyes. In prison, Emily replayed every choice, every step. She had fought for truth, for survival, but the world only saw Daniel's version. Other inmates mocked her story. Guards dismissed her pleas. She was tracked, not just behind walls, but inside the narrative Daniel had written. Her life wasn't hers anymore. It was his, a masterpiece of cruelty that no one else would ever question. Her hope withered, replaced by a single, haunting thought. What if I really never escape him? Meanwhile, Daniel thrived. He moved to another city, another name, another woman. His charm, his lies, his mask, all perfectly intact. No one suspected the truth. To the world, he was a charismatic businessman. To Emily, rotting in her cell, he was the shadow that stole her life. And he knew it. Letters arrived, unsigned, but Emily recognized his handwriting. "Miss me? I'll always be with you." Every word was a dagger, reminding her that even behind bars, she was still his prisoner. Years later, Emily sat in her cell, older, broken, but not defeated. She scratched words into the wall. "If anyone finds this, know that Daniel Carter is not who he seems. Hate is the mask. Hate is the twist. And I am the story he destroyed." Her voice shook as she whispered the final truth. The worst plot twist of all time is that the villain always wins.